Alright, hello and welcome back to the Spirals Experience, and today I'm going to be covering a topic that I normally choose not to discuss on the channel, which is going to be the future of Phantom Forces and my personal opinion on where things are headed. And before I get into the talking points of this video, I'd like to ask that any person working for or with Stylis Studios leaves any of their feedback on this video in the comments below. If you choose to DM me on Discord or contact me otherwise, I will outright ignore you. The reason we're in this situation in the first place is because not everybody gets the same information at the same time. And without further ado, I'm just going to hop into my talking points right now. And of course, I don't think it would quite be a real Phantom Forces video where you're talking about the issues of the game if I weren't to mention our first talking point, the cheaters. Now, I think it's only fair to mention in a conversation like this that Phantom Forces is substantially older than pretty much all of its competition, and that comes with a lot of drawbacks and lessened security when it comes to exploiting. And on a positive note, I can say with 100% certainty that there is at least one Stylis developer who is actively working on exploiting countermeasures and doing a good job at it. But my point still stands because I believe that it is not only unwise, but unfair to have one person working against the dozens or possibly hundreds of people that are making scripts and exploits specifically for Phantom Forces, attacking any vulnerability at any opportunity they get. Which brings me to my point that I do sincerely hope I end up being wrong about. From my perspective and for what I know, in around a week from when this video comes out, Roblox's third-party anti-cheat Bifron should be implemented into the game, and if that anti-cheat fails, I do believe that Stylis will also simultaneously and indefinitely fail in protecting their game from cheaters indefinitely in the future. I think that a lot has been done in the battle against exploiting over the years, and I've actually seen a lot of it firsthand myself, but as it stands right now, we are basically expecting to be bailed out by a third-party company to guarantee that there won't be at least a cheater in every single game of Phantom Forces you play from this point forward until the end of time. And with that point, I think a lot of people who actively play the game will mention that it feels like cheating is down due to the amount of obvious or quote-unquote rage hackers basically being one-to-one replaced, if not being replaced with substantially more legit or closet cheaters, which are people cheating but doing just the bare minimum, or sometimes even mixing in occasional legitimate gameplay just to fly under the radar and get away with whatever they're trying to do. The repercussions of this, in my eyes, has resulted in not only less cheaters getting kicked, but more legitimate players getting kicked, because a good player isn't going to mix in a lot of deaths to artificially lower their KD in an attempt to appear more legitimate in a public match lobby against more unskilled opponents. And to add on to the negative side effects that this has produced, it is now sincerely easier to get banned as a skilled, legitimate player of the game due to the fact that the game moderators are in no way, shape, or form required to play any amount of the game in any time while they're doing their bans and doing their moderation for the game, on top of the fact that when new exploits come out, not only are they never aware but not informed, but they are also never trained by anybody. Which has led to some of the clips that I'll be playing now of good players essentially just being randomly banned by a member of moderation, and unless you possess the reputation of someone like me where you can get immediately in contact with a member of moderation, you will usually have to serve out that 6 months, as they will refuse to review your evidence unless you get a competent moderator who actually cares about the well-being of the players on the game. The ones who aren't cheating, of course. And to make matters even worse, if you can fathom that being possible, there are now game moderators who have allowed their time on the team to form an ego in their mind where they believe that they can never be wrong, to the point of where somebody claiming that they were false in an event of moderation, like in the video you're seeing right now, results in instant and immediate direct hostile responses. And I've gone as far as to leave the name of the moderator in this clip here, because as far as I'm aware, they were never once punished for any of their actions here, in consideration that they were talking to a completely legitimate, not cheating 14-year-old player who hadn't done anything wrong, and they decided to respond like this. And upon seeing that the video would in fact be uploaded and was real, the full match recording, they decided to leave the Discord where this conversation was being held in an attempt to entirely avoid accountability or responsibility for the situation. It's moments like this where I ask for a simple baseline of accountability, or for the moderators to simply be trained or do better. And with that, I do believe I'm ready to move on to my next talking point, and that's going to be the recent major update from version 6 to version 7 of the game, which I'll now be referring to as the Empty Hope update, where we were promised a better coded, cleaned up, modularized version of the game where it would be easier for the developers to implement new features such as daily challenges, better customized skins, and overall bug fixes, we have been given an equally as buggy version of the game where new bugs have showed up, not been patched as quickly as they've been patched before, and honestly, overall, a less enjoyable gameplay experience for everybody other than the people that are cheating right now. Some of these bugs include the notorious no kill cam bug, where upon being killed by somebody, the camera will just point at the ground, essentially making it entirely impossible to prove if somebody who's repeatedly killing you is cheating, as it will happen back to back to back for no clear reason, with no solution being provided by anybody working on the game. The multiple bugs with snipers, including, for whatever reason, the bolt speed randomly getting lowered on snipers after shooting for no clear reason, and not being able to fully ADS while being in the middle of the bolting animation after firing a sniper. Some of these glitches existed in the previous version, and in my eyes are absolutely inexcusable to be left in the game while the developers are clearly working on their next title, essentially abandoning Phantom Forces in the process, only using it to make money while they develop their next project. Which is going to bring me to my last point of the video, and somehow, despite being such a minimal feature of the game, I do believe that this one talking point will take up the rest of this video, as we are going to be talking about spotting. Now, this may come as a burden of information for a lot of people who have been able to play the game with this bug and generally just assume it's a glitch, but every time in these past few months that you've been spotted despite being in no line of sight of any enemy has actually every single time been the result of an exploiter. Even when you are initially spotted by a legitimate player, the exploiter will then take control of that spot to receive the 25 XP spotting bonus so they can passively farm an irrelevant amount of XP every match. Some people may be confusing what I'm considering to be probably the worst exploit in the history of this game to simply be the bug that you're seeing now from many years ago, where you were able to spot and instantly go behind cover and then keep the person indefinitely spotted no matter what permanently. Whereas right now, the only way to do this, as I've tested it multiple times with multiple people in private servers, is to simply cheat. And the unfortunate reality of this part of the video is the fact that this is easily the most documented exploit / bug in the game right now that has not only managed to fully fall upon deaf ears on the development, but even spurned somewhat negative comments from the development where a very reputable player was directly speaking to development about this, and it was written off as a skill issue from a developer that, just to be blunt, and I do apologize for the disrespect here, doesn't play the game enough to know for a fact that this is actually going on. Which leads me to my final point here, which is going to be footage of what I have dubbed the super spot exploit. On top of the fact that these exploiters are able to keep you spotted through walls and spot you significantly longer than the average player, they can also skip the 3-second hiding phase in the bottom right of the screen when you go from spotted, then to hiding from enemy, which still has the red dot above you for some reason, which is supposed to disappear after 3 seconds of no enemy seeing you. In the clips you're seeing right now, this is a player playing against an exploiter who is able to spot you from any direction so long as you can see them, not requiring them to see you. Sometimes it is faster than the spotting animation itself, and on top of that, in the bottom right of the video, you can see that there is absolutely no hiding from enemy phase, and sometimes the spot will just simply disappear. It's at this point where I truly have no explanation, no words for what's going on, because I myself have multiple times attempted to report this to not only moderators of the game to pass it up the chain, but also directly to development, who has acknowledged that it does in fact appear to be an issue, who have essentially just done nothing about it, as it continues to run rampant and clearly destroy an enjoyable play experience for legitimate players in the game. And with that, I do believe that is the end of this video, and I'm going to make my closing statements here. I do apologize if I left out any bugs. These were actually just all of the ones I could name off the top of my head, and I do believe the video could be 3 times its length if I went and searched for more. If you feel as if I've left out some key information in this video, I do believe it's only fair to say I put in just about as much effort into this video as the development is putting in to fix the game right now. I think a pretty simple solution to this would be hiring somebody who serves as a bridge gap between the community and the developers to directly give us information on what's going on. And I'm not suggesting that we vlog each minute of the developers' daily lives, but as they're working on 2 different projects simultaneously, I do think it would be beneficial to the entire community to know which project they're working on specifically at the moment, especially while there's some pretty large issues on one of their games already. And at the end here, I will request that any person mentioned in the video, regardless of who they are or what their standing is not contacted, harassed, or bothered in any way based off of the information posted in this video. I do apologize to those who I've said in the past that I would never make a video like this, being critical of the game and calling out the issues as I see them. In the past, I do believe that I was being legitimately respected on a mutual standing by both the community and the staff of this game, but I do believe that bond has been broken in a way that I cannot explain in this video without getting in trouble. I thank you guys for watching the video, especially if you made it all the way to the end, and I do not have a legitimate outro, so the video will just slowly fade into nothingness. I don't know, man.